Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to a little Canary Islands news update. A little bit of information to run through with you, and also just going to recap on the current restrictions here in the Canary Islands and in Spain as well. It is Tuesday the 4th of October, and let's jump straight into it. So first of all, how are you all? I have just returned from a fantastic trip to Florida. I had a nice break from here. I do live in Los Cristianos in Tenerife. If you are new to the channel, a big welcome. And if you're returning, I hope you're doing well. Overall, to start with, of course, is the weather. We have arrived back into a Calima. The last couple of days have been very hot for this time of year. Did reach 31 degrees yesterday afternoon. Perfect timing. And as you can see, it's very, very hazy. It actually looks like a really stormy, cloudy, hazy winter's day in England. It's a bit like what it looks like today, but very, very warm. You can still do all your activities. It's just a little bit full on and hazy at the moment. So that's how the weather is. It should clear up quite soon. But they have had a few little weather systems over in Africa, which does push across to here. And we do get this very fine sand and dust in the air. It makes it really hazy. So the first thing I want to mention as well is as regards to driving licenses. While I was away, nothing really did change. We did miss the deadline for the announcement of some new rules with the driving licenses. The ambassador for Spain, for the British ambassador, has released a video which you can have a look at, just explaining that it's gone much slower than he thought it was going to. He still doesn't know what's happening, and there is a lot of Brits here and in the whole of Spain that can't drive at the moment because they would have to take a Spanish driving test. There is still no agreement yet. That does lead on to some of the issues that followed on from Brexit. I am potentially going to be doing a video with someone over here who did do a recent article about Brexit, how it's affected his business, how he thinks it's affected the islands as a whole as well. So I might be doing a little bit of an interview video with him, which could be coming up on the channel, all about Brexit and how we think, and I think as well, Brexit has changed the island slightly, or changed how people think of the island. So that could be coming up soon as well. The next thing I want to give a full run through of, that I'm getting a lot of messages about still, is as regards to restrictions to coming over in Spain. We are now one of the only countries left, well, the only country left with entry restrictions for COVID in the whole of the EU, which is Spain. And although our numbers are doing really well, we're getting a lot of tourists, a lot of numbers coming in, hotel occupancy is really good, there is still a lot of people who are not quite certain they want to come because of these restrictions. They don't want all the aggro of potentially tests and getting checked at the airport. They don't want to worry about any of that. So I'm going to run through, I hope it is released soon, these restrictions, but I'm going to run through exactly what is currently still in place. If you are traveling from the UK to Spain, you must show valid proof of one of the following upon entry. Being fully vaccinated, your vaccination status must meet the Spanish authorities' validity period requirements. So you've got to make sure that your second vaccine isn't over 270 days old. If it is, you need to have had the booster. And you can also enter with a negative COVID-19 test, either a PCR test within 72 hours or an antigen taken 24 hours prior to departure. Or you can show a recovery certificate that you've recovered from COVID-19 in the last 6 months. So they're the brief basics. These requirements do not apply to children under the age of 12. You are no longer required to complete a health control form prior to travel. So all you would have to do, if you're fully vaccinated, you've got your NHS app there, make sure you've downloaded it or screenshotted it on your phone and have it with you in case you are checked. Now, I passed through the airport 2 days ago and they didn't check anyone that I could see. There was no checking that people were vaccinated. We just went straight through passport control and out. It is random checks. It's probably now these days unlikely that you will be checked, but if you are, you just pop out your phone, there you go, there's my NHS app, shows I'm vaccinated, and job done. You can print it as well if you want that peace of mind. You may be subject to additional checks at the airport, such as a temperature check or a visual assessment. Again, very unlikely. If you are fully vaccinated and travelling from the UK, you can enter Spain. Your vaccination status must meet the requirements, as I've mentioned, those dates. If you've received a booster, you are considered fully vaccinated for entry into Spain. As soon as you receive your booster, you are considered fully vaccinated with immediate effect, so you don't have to wait the 2-week period after the booster. The minute you have it, you could fly here the following day or even the same day. It counts as fully vaccinated. If you're aged between 12 and 17 and have not received the booster, but have received 2 doses of a 2-dose vaccine or a single-dose vaccine approved for use in Spain, then at least 14 days must have passed since your last dose to qualify as fully vaccinated. You continue to qualify as fully vaccinated more than 270 days after your last dose and do not need to show proof of having received a booster. That's if you're between 12 and 17. This information I've read out here is from the Government UK website. I will leave that in the description if you want to read through it yourself. Let's hope Spain does lift those restrictions soon. They did get rid of the health form, but it's still potentially going to be asked if you are fully vaccinated. So do bear that in mind. If you have had COVID in the last year and you're entering Spain for tourism purposes, you can show your recovery certificate as long as it was in the last 6 months. So all of that will be down in the description if you want to have a read of it, but they're the basics if you are coming over. As I said, random checks as well. Overall, I've been out and about a little bit. I have been busy with work, with the car rental. Overall, it seems a little bit quieter than when I left. I did leave at the very end of August. There's definitely a lot less families around, definitely a lot less kids around. Overall, it does seem a little bit quieter, but I would say steady. Will we see our numbers shoot up? October is normally a busy month. November, we normally get a lot of the, expats coming over, staying for long periods. You can't really do that now with the 90-day rule. So it's going to be interesting to see this winter what happens. At the moment, October started steady, but nothing lighting the world on fire yet. If you are planning on coming over in the next couple of months, do let me know in the comments. And if you have been affected by the 90-day rule, also let me know in the comments as well. I'll be reading through those comments and we might potentially take some questions for that little interview video that is potentially coming up on the channel. If you've noticed any differences when you've been over to Tenerife, any major differences or anything that's stopping you coming over or restricting you in terms of Brexit, let me know in the comments, and again, I might pick some of them out and we'll discuss them or talk about them, but that will be coming up potentially next week or the week after, so I'll let you know about that one. Overall, that is going to be it from me. No other major news to really run through. All systems go, all systems good over here, and I hope that does help any of you that are thinking of coming over. Get yourself booked, you'll have an amazing time. The weather's been mixed these few days, but people are still having an absolute blast. Scion Park still fully raring to go there as well. Hopefully visiting there again soon. But yeah, that's it from me. Make sure you do hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up, drop those comments below, and stride on.